Hi, I'm Jeff from New York. Please like and subscribe.
Young Billionaire, Episode 84, The Party Has Begun. Together they walked through the garden's residential area. There were neat rows of Mediterranean-looking villas. In front of each, there were all kinds of plants and trees, such as money trees, almonds in full bloom, and citrus trees. It was a very colorful and pretty scene. On both sides of the road there were pine trees with birds chirping. The surrounding air was cool and fresh with the faint fragrance of flowers. Jeff had spent a lot of time there, so it was nothing new for him. But the two girls were amazed by the beauty of their surroundings. They took lots of panoramic photos on their cell phones, exclaiming that Green Island Garden was indeed worthy of being one of the top 2 residential areas in New York. Soon they arrived at the artificial lake. In the middle of the lake was a small island, and on the island was a villa which looked even more luxurious than the other properties. It looked like a European castle.
So beautiful!
The two girls exclaimed as they looked longingly at the villa on the island and felt a gentle breeze from the lake. Brushing their faces, Elisa commented,
"That villa is worth over $40 million. I heard that it was bought by a young student in his 20s. Can you believe he's got so much money at that age?"
The breeze rustled her dress. Standing by the lake, she looked very beautiful. Remelin replied,
Who knows? I've heard from a friend who works here that he bought this villa over a month ago and hasn't lived in it at all. Maybe he even has a better house than this one.
She imagined the young man and said longingly,
If I ever meet him, I want to hug him and kiss him.
Hearing her words, Jeff, who was standing nearby, started coughing. Remelin looked at him impatiently.
I'm sorry I choked.
He quickly apologized, but Remelin didn't even notice how apology was with the way she was talking. She looked at him with disdain and said,
Disgusting loser. Go on. Cough yourself to death. Didn't you say you lived here? Tell me which villa is yours. Is there something you want to tell us?
Jeff subconsciously glared at the mansion on the artificial island.
Why are you looking at that villa? You couldn't afford that if you lived another 8 lifetimes.
Remelin huffed as she spoke. She pulled Elisa's hand and said,
Let's go. Ignore this liar.
Remelin pulled Elisa and they walked away from Jeff, who shook his head in despair and followed behind them. Soon they could hear the sounds of people chatting and laughing, and a few minutes later they arrived at a villa on the southern side of the residential area. There were 2 marquees in the garden, each containing long white tables filled with fruits, beverages, and wine. 30 or so well-dressed young men were milling around, holding glasses and chatting in groups of 2s and 3s. Elisa, Remelin and Jeff walked into the garden. One of the young men saw them and called out,
Remelin and Eliza are here.
We were all hoping you were coming,
said another. Another said,
Eliza, we haven't seen each other in a few months, but you look prettier than ever.
Everyone rushed over to greet the girls, mostly young men, but there were also a few girls. Other girls stayed back, watching Elisa with a trace of jealousy in their eyes. The young men surrounding Elisa were all chatting happily. Then one of them noticed the young man standing beside her, wearing scruffy clothes and looking as if he didn't belong.
Who's this?
Asked one of the men.
Look at what he's wearing. It looks like he bought his clothes from the flea market.
Another said,
He doesn't even have a decent haircut or watch or chain.
What's he doing here?
I can't believe that Noah would invite someone like him.
Agreed the first man. The others started to discuss Jeff right in front of him, as if he wasn't there.
Hey, you must have walked down the wrong path. Look around you. You don't belong here.
A man said to Jeff as he glanced around at the other guests. All of them looked smartly dressed in expensive designer outfits. He shot a disdainful look at Jeff and clicked his tongue.
You think you're one of us? I think you should leave.
As he spoke, the young man gestured to the way out, but Remelin interrupted.
Hey, what are you doing? He's here with me and Elisa.
She said with a smile.
He came with you.
The others were shocked. This boy was much poorer than them. Why would Elisa bring him? And she and Remelin were the most beautiful girls there. They could have any man they wanted, and usually they rejected them all. Seeing the men's confused expressions, Remelin smiled smugly. Her eyes swept over Jeff's body, and then she looked at the others.
His name is Jeff, and don't underestimate him. He's not just anyone.
She said with a mysterious smile.
Oh.
Hearing her words, the others looked at Jeff again.
Could it be that this guy who looks like a pauper is rich?
They wondered. Remelin cleared her throat.
A month ago, Jeff ordered an exclusive Ferrari worth over 20 million. This car is currently being manufactured in Italy from the world's best parts.
Hearing this, the others were shocked. Jeff and Elisa frowned. They knew that Remelin was not going to praise him, so what was she up to? She continued.
Jeff didn't want to wait too long for the car to be manufactured, so he paid an extra $100,000 to have it made more quickly. The team at Ferrari has to deliver it to him within 10 days.
She was enjoying herself. Originally, the others almost believed that Jeff could be from a middle-class family. But as they watched Remelin, a coy smile appeared on her face and they realized that she was joking with them.
Did you know that when we arrived earlier, Jeff actually pretended that he lives here?
She continued. The others gasped in mock horror and looked at him with sneering smiles.
And do you know which villa he lives in?
The more Remelin spoke, the more animated she became, looking at the others. Laughing at Jeff, she was enjoying her joke.
I'll tell you guys in secret. It's the one on the artificial island.
Ah ha ha ha.
The others replied. At the same time, their laughter was filled with ridicule. One man said.
So he's not just wealthy, he must be super rich.
Another joined in.
It just shows you can't judge a book by its cover. If it wasn't for Remelin, I would have thought he had just been picking up the trash on the streets.
Since you own the most expensive villa on the artificial lake, why are we still here? This doesn't compare to your house there. Let's go to your place.
The guy who tried to get Jeff to leave pushed him as he spoke.
What are you doing?
Elisa demanded as she pushed the man away. She stood in front of Jeff and looked at the others angrily.
What's wrong with you guys? What are you laughing at? Do you want to have a go at me now? Go on then.
The man replied.
Alyssa, you know what we're saying. It's just that this guy doesn't fit in at this party, and he's making everybody here uncomfortable.
Why doesn't he fit in? Well, he's my boyfriend. Do you still think he's not worthy?
Elisa glared at the others as she spoke. When they heard this, everyone was stunned.
This loser is Alyssa's boyfriend. That just can't be right.
Remelin was also shocked when she heard her friend telling everyone that Jeff, a loser who'd only knew how to brag, was her boyfriend. She couldn't believe it. Jeff was bewildered for a moment, but Elisa had told him before that he had to pretend to be her boyfriend at the party. One of the guests laughed and said,
Elisa, stop joking with us. We know you wouldn't date someone like him. You've had loads of rich guys chasing you, and you turned them all down.
Her friends agreed.
Definitely.
One shouted. Another said,
I know what's happening. Hasn't Alyssa been annoyed by Jasper Cruz pestering her recently? I bet she's found a fake boyfriend to scare him off.
Yes, that's right. It must be.
Another agreed. The others nodded, imagining all sorts of reasons for their friend to be dating this loser. Elisa was like a goddess to them. They really couldn't accept that she would date someone like Jeff. The first man smiled and said to her,
We're right, aren't we? Alyssa, actually, if you need someone to pretend to be your boyfriend, I'd be happy to help.
And me,
said his friend.
I can do it too. It should at least be someone better than this dirtbag, right?
Looking at these people who thought they were being clever, Elisa chuckled softly.
Who told you he was pretending to be my boyfriend?
She asked with a small smile. The others looked at her in confusion.
Why did she need to ask? Elisa came from such a good family. Why would she settle for someone like Jeff?
Elisa turned and looked at Jeff. He was taken aback by how pretty she looked, peeking out from beneath her sun hat. He looked into her bright eyes and couldn't help but feel touched by her gaze. Elisa stared into his eyes, then stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the mouth. Jeff was stunned. As Elisa kissed him, Jeff didn't respond at all. He could feel that her lips were tender and thin and a little cold, and he could feel her nose rubbing against his. He opened his eyes wide to see Alyssa's face right in front of him. He could see her curved eyelashes, her delicate eyelids, and the fine lines at the corner of her eyes. He could feel her moist breath on his nose, filling his nostrils with a delicate fragrance. Even though Jeff's mind was in turmoil, his body felt light, as if he was lying on soft clouds. Then he felt a small tongue trying to push between his lips, and he suddenly felt a jolt. He quickly pushed Elisa away. He looked at her in shock. His mind was all over the place.
What have I done?
Jeff thought about Lelaine and felt guilty. He felt that kissing another woman behind her back was disgusting, heartless and cruel. August 2023. Top super thanks purchasers. Thank you so much.